on voptv and of course our sister radio station 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Mwachiko and of course I'll be starring you on the program this evening. Now let's start off with the fact that the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, is now in the custody of the State Security Service SSS in Abuja. The SSS is holding Mr. Emefiele for what is termed investigative reasons. He was suspended on Friday by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and many thought it was only a matter of time before this would happen. Well, I didn't know, but obviously some of you did. Now, Emefiele became an interested party in the same race that produced President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria, and had said before the election that the Naira redesign policy Emefiele introduced to reduce the amount of money in circulation was orchestrated to stop him from realizing his ambition. We will talk about this and also touch on a few other events that shaped the past week. Now, as the Ninth Senate rounded off its session, its chief whip could not hold back tears. Senator Orji Uzor spoke about his personal travels in politics and how several events had apparently been contrived to work against him. He, in fact, said that Nigeria had not been fair to him. Senator Orji is in the running for president of the 10th Senate. Plus, the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, says the State House of Assembly will now begin to make laws to protect the indigenous Yoruba, although it's not clear if his reference was to native Lagosians or all Yorubas in Lagos. Let's quickly head into the conversation as I introduce my guests in the studio. You do know that I do not fly this kite alone. I have in the studio Barrister Joe Mwokedi. Good evening and welcome to the Political Spotlight.
Our viewers are great to all of you.
And of course, Mr. Elvis Elimehele, who is a public affairs commentator. He's also here with us. Mr. Elvis, good evening.
Good evening, Esther. Good evening, our viewers. Thank you.
Political Spotlight. Well, gentlemen, the first issue that is about the one that involves the former governor of the CBN. Where do we go from here? I'll start with you, Mr. Elvis.
Former governor now, Central Bank, suspended. Well, we saw it coming.
You did?
Yes.
Wow.
I was even of the opinion that I would have preferred he tendered his resignation letter honorably before he got to this level it is now. Let me tell you, the APC administration favored him so well because he was appointed in 2014 by Jonathan's administration, and he got a second tenure. Having gone through Buhari 2015 to 2019, he got another second tenure in 2019 for another 5 years tenure. By next year, 2024, he would have concluded his 10 years. And remember, he's the first CBN governor in Nigeria that have had 2 tenures. But even as we speak, he's about his first CBN governor in Nigeria that have stayed this long in office. Office of such nature that are laid up with landmines, as it is in quotes, you have to tread softly. But we saw some of his policies that came up. The ones Nigerians cannot forgive him for was the redesign of Naira that started October last year. You know, he met with Mr. President, former president then, and sold the idea of redesigning the Naira. So along the line, Nigerians didn't really know what it was going to entail. But in 1984, when we were still very young then, we saw, when Buhari was head of state then, we saw something of that nature. Nigeria Naira was redesigned too. We knew what the hue and cries, we knew all the suffering Nigerians went through, going to queue in the bank then. You know, the technological system of the nation was not as advanced as it is then. You have to go to the bank with your money queue, and at the end of the day, the bank may not even be able to attend to 20 people. So we saw people falling in the bank, you know. So when some of us heard about the designing of Naira, we were like, okay, it was going to be better managed now because of the technological development. Unfortunately, 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira was going to wear a different look. One would have expected that when you come up with such policy, he will be able to print the lower denomination 10 naira, 5 naira is still a legal tender in Nigeria. 10 naira is still there, 20 naira, 50 naira, and even 100 naira. So that at the time you are withdrawing this higher denomination, this lower denomination could be able to meet the transaction for Nigerians. Unfortunately, things of that nature was not put in place. We now saw Nigerians using naira to buy naira. You know, there was an issue I shared with you. I traveled and I had to buy 10,000 naira with 4,000 naira. So it became so bad that Nigerians were, you know, everywhere you get to, it was the issue. In fact, Nigerians began this year 2022 with a lot of stress, even to this moment we are now. But we still believe in God that it's going to be better, because you know we just transited into a new era of now, removal of fuel subsidy. But that's another discussion. But we managed to survive it, and along the line, the president of Nigeria today now said it was designed to witch hunt APC success in the pool, and he came up and denied it. And again, he now began to be involved in politics. People started flying cards, started printing posters. Emefiele is sitting CBN governor, wanting to contest for the highest position in Nigeria as president. I don't think even the CBN Act allows that. So, and he was going to be part of those that were going to struggle it out with the president on seat now. You know what that means? You came up with a law that he saw, he was already reasoning that it was part of those to whittle down his power, and you were also going to struggle that primaries with him. And at the end of the day, he started stepping on toes, started stepping on landmines. So I saw it coming. It was not new to me when I heard he was suspended and eventually picked up. Remember, there was even a time he was going to be picked up by DSS before, and that it was because Buhari was still on seat, and Buhari was body language of Buhari and all was supporting that naira redesigning. That was why that did not materialize. We saw even when at the time that the court gave judgment that the naira redesigning was illegal and all of that, and it should be shifted, Buhari came and said no, 200 naira was the only one he released, that Nigeria can begin to spend the whole 200 naira. The 500 naira and the 1,000 naira was still banned. So he had all the cooperation from the Buhari administration, but unfortunately, I saw it coming. I would have expected him to have, thrown in the towel before Buhari left the office.
Barrister Jiron Wokedu, so when that information circulated that he already was, especially when the DSS confirmed, we had that information about him being suspended, and then of course there was a possible, prediction that he would be arrested. But eventually the DSS confirmed that he was in their custody now. Nigerians were kind of happy. And then a lot of critics asked, what exactly did Godwin Emefiele do? I mean, whatever he did, his principal was, obviously allowed it to go ahead. It went ahead with the permission of his principal, which was former President Muhammadu Buhari. So critics are saying, where in the Constitution did he go wrong? Why are Nigerians, why are they jubilating about it? What exactly? And then a couple of people think this will not go far. But do you think this is the end for Godwin Emefiele?
Yeah, Godwin Emefiele is still the central bank governor of Nigeria till now.
Really? He's been suspended?
Yes, he's suspended, but not removed.
He's been suspended but not removed?
Not removed.
But there's someone already in acting capacity.
But not the central bank governor.
Can you repeat that statement?
The person is acting, but not yet confirmed governor of central bank.
So you're saying that he is still?
He's still enjoying the capacity as central bank governor and someone that has been suspected of having committed a crime until proven guilty.
Okay.
A court of law can still return him.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
If actually he's found innocent of all the allegations as alleged.
But is that position?
Or whereby the term of office has been exhausted, they can pay him for the duration that he was not able to physically sit as governor of central bank, and all the remunerations and all the emoluments that are supposed to accrue to that office will be given to him.
Interesting.
Yes, but some people don't just know that. Because most presidents in Nigeria are trying to be smart. Jonathan actually did that to Sanusi. I don't know what was the outcome of the legal recourse that Sanusi resorted to when that occurrence took place. Now, it was even done to AMCON chairman then, Mustafa Chikobi too. These are tenured offices. And the expiration of these offices are contained in the enabling act that produce the offices as well as the agency. And such acts provided within the content of the acts how such holder of the office in that agency should be removed. In the case of Central Bank Governor, which is a case at hand, Section 11 of Central Bank Act 2007 provided expressly on how Governor of Central Bank should be removed, but not should be suspended. But Nigerian presidents are now trying to be smart by not using that word removed. They now go by the word suspended, so as to not to be caught in total contravention and violation of the provisions of that enabling act. Because that law provides that for a central bank governor to be removed by a president, that he must get two-thirds majority of members of the Senate affirming that removal, which in the present case, the president did not do that. He decided to circumvent that provision and went straight and got him, suspended according to the verbiage. I am not speaking for MFL, I'm not in his counsel, but I'm speaking as a human rights lawyer, a lawyer that have actually advocated that the rule of law should be strictly adhered to. Because today, it might be circumvented to favor your interest, and tomorrow, it might be circumvented to unleash immeasurable terror and harm to you or your interest too. So at all times, as a solicitor and the litigation counsel, I always caution people on whenever there is a breach, a blatant breach, or disregard to the provisions of the Constitution of the Act. Now, emotionally, majority of Nigerians are happy because of what MFLA did, which also myself, I was not in support of the way he handled that Naira redesign, whatever might be his reasons. The intention might be good, the end result according to them might have been good, but the procedure and the process unleashed immeasurable harm to the Nigerian people and also created tension in the polity, and at the same time threatened the banks. So many banks were like destroyed, vandalized. Some bankers couldn't come to work. Some were afraid of their lives and a lot of things. And an economy as precarious as that of Nigeria didn't want such unnecessary burden to be placed on it. Then it was like a sabotage because, like my friend here rightly said, you did not make a provision for other denominations to be in circulation. You just decided to make sure you withdraw money from the system without creating an alternative on how people can equally do their normal buying and selling and transact other businesses while you are carrying out your initiatives. The whole idea then was that mop up all the cash in circulation and leave people stranded, which eventually caused some deaths. People that were in the hospital that would have access cash to one or two things couldn't do that. People lost a lot of money. Me, I bought 50,000 for 58,000. I wanted to go to Abuja for some jobs at the police.
So you paid 8,000?
Yes, I paid 8,000 for 50,000. And I needed to go with cash because offices I will go. I'm not going to send them money on any means that will enable the money to be traced. So it's required that I go with cash. So I have to go and buy 50,000 for 58,000. I can't remember countless times I bought 20,000 for 24,000, 25,000. Several times I did that. And when I bought 10,000, 14,000. In fact, I was having cash at the detriment of my savings. It depleted almost all the money I have in my coffers. Because I run my office, certain things are not bought with others transfer.
Barrister Joe, in regards to, I need to interject there because in regards to Godwin Emefiele, A couple of critics, Nigerians, believe that if President Muhammadu, or rather President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is trying to finger Emefiele, they're saying that former President Muhammadu Buhari should also be called into question. That's one. Two, they also believe that Mele Kyari too should be in the same trough along with the CBN government.
They might take them
as
one
well
by
as
one.
Hadi Sirika.
They might take them one by one. See, let me tell you one thing about criminal prosecution. You don't, just like, there was a time that Oshomole was to be prosecuted. They wrote petitions and everything about him to be prosecuted, and DSS or whichever agency said they cannot prosecute him. And at the end of the day, somebody went to court, one bishop from Edo State, one bishop in Edo State went to court. Court said you cannot force them to prosecute. Even the case of Bola Tinubu at the EFCC, this Adeyanju, that activist, several called on the attention of the court to prosecute Bola Tinubu based on the preponderance of evidence against him at the EFCC, and they said they cannot prosecute. And there is no law that says you force them to prosecute. But the point is always that the person that they are prosecuting, even though we condemn that selective prosecution, is not good for the growth of any society or any government. But then it is what the law says, and that is where we are. But then even aside that, even though they pick on an individual to be prosecuted, can that person be said to have committed that offense? Is that person guilty of that offense as charged? If you know you are innocent of the offense as alleged, quietly brief your lawyers, get your documents at the exhibit, put your house in order, go to court and face them. And by the time we are able to get into the nitty-gritty of trial and they are away from social media convictions and everything, the whole issue will be led before the court. And they'll make fool of themselves. They lose so many cases. I prosecute, as a defense counsel, not prosecution counsel, we handle cases that they have lost in courts. So, if Emefiele is quite sure that he acted, then the second arm of the question you asked me, being the issue of the president. You know, we always tell people in office, whatever you are doing, even though you are representing the head of that department or whatever, in most cases in law, you are individually held liable of that offense. That's why even in police, I've been to police that the superior police officer was telling a junior one to go and do something, which was illegal and unlawful. The junior one said, sir, put it in writing. He said, I'm your superior. So a guy put it in writing that should go and do it. And the senior officer refused to do that. Because the junior one knows that, look, if anything happens in this operation, I'll be personally held liable. That the guy gave me instruction will no longer avail me of any defense. The man told the guy, the superior, put it in writing. And the man refused to put it in writing. That the junior one should go and do that. So when you begin to parley them, and begin to, that's like what happened in Dasuki and Jonathan's government. You do all these things in excess of abuse of powers of your office, thinking that the president will come to your rescue. And they forgot that, look, the president this tenure will eventually come to an end. And the other government that may take over may not be comfortable with the way I handle certain things. That I may be called to give account of my stewardship and certain activities that transpired under my tenure. Now, President Buhari is in Naura chilling and having his, staying with his, what they call it, Nama and cattle and everything. And here is Emefiele, because Buhari played a role in whatever that Emefiele did. But then, they've not told us, from little we read on the social media, that Naira resigned. It's exactly why they are after Emefiele. Some issue, they raise issue of terrorism. They raise so many other, and this terrorism and other things. Then his president aware of that. There was one I saw trending that Emefiele sent $100 million to Taliban, Afghanistan, who ordered it. So these are the things Emefiele will come to court to tell the court.
Mr. Elvis Alimehele,
so if Emefiele can tell the court the president directed and was able to prove it, so be it.
Mr. Elvis, what did Mr. Emefiele do? What is exactly his crime?
Yeah, from the social media or from what we are reading now, we've read about the sponsorship of terrorism. They said he sent some money to Taliban in Afghanistan, about $100 million. They said to release 2 Nigerians that were held hostage. They've not mentioned the name. Then they said he finances...
Is that theory believable? Afghanistan,
that was what we were told. And
But the president gave $1 million officially to Afghanistan when the Taliban took over.
That's a different one.
So the president will expect some explanations.
We are waiting for him to come up with his legal defense.
Yes.
They said he also sponsors IPOP, ESN, and ESN and all that. Then they also said that even in the course of this his policy of redesigning the naira, some people died.
Yes.
Some people died, which is true.
Can they hold him on that?
No, but we don't know. But
it's a policy.
No, let them come up with the law that will hold him on that.
It's a policy. Cannot hold him on that.
It was a policy, but let them come up with the section of the law.
Do you think the DSS has evidence of most of
no, even if people have died. No.
These monies that
it's just like saying that people died of BP, died of stroke because of Buhari's government, because of Buhari's policies. You can't hold somebody accountable because somebody died because of government policy.
But Mr.
Except
Elvis,
that should be traced to murder.
Mr. Elvis, you think that, I mean, if you actually hear it, does the DSS actually have the evidence that Emefiele sponsored this Afghanistan, whatever, sent money to even the ESN, IPOP, that he's infused in it, he financially is infusing himself in it?
Let us believe that they had the evidence. But it
must be well damning.
Yes, the onus lies with the legal team of Emefiele to be able to defend him and prove them wrong if necessary. But if they cannot prove EFCC wrong, that means the evidence they have against him is correct. I mean DSS. If they cannot prove the DSS wrongly that, oh, this man is not involved in this trumped up
allegation and charges.
Allegation you have against him, then that means they did not do their homework. Well, then it will exonerate Emefiele. Emefiele can even come back and say, okay, you damaged my name and all of that. It is now my turn to also to bring back my integrity, you know.
And damages for his office.
The law also still allows that. So it's still a process, Esther. It's still a process, and it's just developing. You know, this one just happened on Friday and Saturday. By tomorrow, Monday, and I mean when work starts before Friday, we'll hear more about this. Then we'll begin to hear different approaches to it, and different commentators will begin to dissect it as we are dissecting it here now. Then all these ones are part of what is going to form the legal defense of Emefiele as well. He still has the right to defend whatever is brought before him now. So I think we'll hear more of it.
And again, too, they have not filed a formal charge against him in court. Whatever information we are getting now from social media and authorized, unauthorized sources, until when they file a formal charge and serve his legal team.
How soon do you think that will be?
They must do that. They must do that.
But how soon do you see that happening?
Yes,
because if you're arresting someone, if you're placing someone in DSS custody, I mean, there's a limited, there is a
limited time within which 48 hours for them to charge him to court, except they have rushed to court to go and get detention order for 30 days, pending investigation. But we have always vehemently frowned on that aspect of practice. Before you go after any person being suspected of having committed an offense, conduct your thorough investigation, equip yourself before you, because Emefiele, you can always do whatever you want to do while he's still sitting there as governor of Central Bank without even his knowledge. Before you now strike, get him charged to court and start trial. But in Nigeria, mostly all this kangaroo issue, they always strike and get social media attention everywhere, start shouting blah 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 blah, keep the person for like few days there before they now start shopping for evidence, shopping for whatever they will use. That is why they mostly fail during trial. Now, if they keep Emefiele at least within 48 hours, 25 or 48 hours, they have to charge him to court. But mostly they will go to court and get detention order for 30 days. But after that, they have to charge him to court. Except if they fail to do that, that would be a gross contravention on his fundamental right.
But gentlemen, you must believe that our political landscape is full of drama.
But then he will still sue. This government will say come to an end. He will still sue. If there is that violation and it violates the express provisions of the Constitution, he will still go to court and sue.
But before I move on to the next topic on our conversation this evening, do you think it's possible that the current president would invite the former president for questioning? Because
he may not.
Most of the dealings, most of the attitude, most of the things that Emefiele did was actually approved.
What Emefiele is required to do is to prove before the court that those orders came from the president. And in most cases, Even without MFL saying it, we saw Buhari contributing during Naira design
yes.
by comments, by statements, even by visitation.
Even made broadcasts.
Broadcasts with that effect.
So is there any possibility that this political vendetta from this administration would go further? Do we see some
let's see.
political
You know what's about
limiting the process of this?
You know one thing about all these things. MFL will start singing like a bird.
You think so?
Yes, he will sing. If he doesn't sing, he will sing.
You wouldn't there be the scenario of off your mic now?
No, if that scenario occurs, then they will discharge him. It's either if you prosecute him and he's seen himself going to jail, he will sing and mention names. And that is when off your mic will come in. Because so many people will be indicted. And the president himself will be called to find a way to use court.
We've also read in the social media about the Afrezin loans that he took, and that how many billion that part of it in that write-up. We don't know how true it is. The Dangote has been mentioned in that.
Yes.
How he paid some of the money to Dangote's account. So I think feelers around him now will also be gathering all this and begin to tell him this is where we have heard, this is where we've heard. So let him also begin to prepare his defense. Because if actually this is what they are going to charge him for, and he knows that he knows one or two things about it, he should be able to come and tell Nigeria and the court, this is what I know about this. Like you said, Barrister, if he has to sing, because if he doesn't sing, he will sink alone. And in Nigeria, when you are sinking alone, it is the person that is sinking that the sin is on his head.
He obviously may not sing that.
No, if he doesn't sing, he has to sing. He has to mention names. Where he had one or two transactions with some people, even some of them that are still feasting on the president.
Yes.
He has to mention them.
But is it possible?
He will do it. No, he will. If he's able to prove the fact that the president directly or indirectly approved all his conduct, all his actions throughout all these things. Like one that was sent to Afghanistan, the president actually ordered him to send it. Because as a CBN governor, he's not going to come out every day to brief Nigerians on his activities. Duties of his office. So there are so many things he may do that will not be in the public domain. You may view it as, okay, he has done wrong, but he will not come and start telling you, President said I should give this man 10 million, 100 million, send that one. No, he will not say that. But now that he has been arrested and about to be prosecuted, he will open up everything and then sing, or he will sink.
Alright, remember that we're currently streaming on YouTube. It's at VOPTV Live, Voice of the People TV, as well as VOP 90.3 FM. You can join us virtually and be part of the conversation this evening. Sending your comments, like, share. Of course, you have to subscribe.